there, it's Kevin with GatheringMagic.com with match number 4 with our Warriors. We queued up specifically for Abzan and then do not see an Abzan deck. That's usually how it goes when you switch decks around. Very frustrating when you're in playing in Grand Prix and PTQs and play a specific deck and then get beat by the matchup that is bad against it or good against it, and then switch decks for the next one and then would have had the best matchups with your previous deck. So that's what I feel what has happened to me today. So I do keep this. It is decently quick. We have the Vent. We have a Shadowspear, so first turn Shadowspear. And it's not an Abzan deck again. So we're 0 for 4, which we were 4 for 4 with the other deck, finding Abzan. So we'll go ahead and Shadowspear. And then pass the turn. And I'd like to see a non-Jeskai Black matchup. But it appears that might be the case. There is the dreaded Jace. And we will put out a Chief of the Edge. But with Fire Impulses and whatnot, I think we're in pretty dire straits already. So Tormenting Voice, this could be a tutelage. This might be Sphinx's tutelage. Jace will give us more information. We actually do have a decently quick hand. The stance is bad, though. He's going to use Jace to block. But this is at least going to be 3 damage going through. And he's going to lose Jace and then not have it flip. Which is going to be pretty significant because then we don't have to tack into Jace. And we'll have a Shambling Vent that we'll play this turn. Or I might just secure the waste for 2 and then now we can rely on Sorin. That's actually a better play. Because I want him actually to play a tutelage. An Ugin. He has to ditch an Ugin, which is one of those cards that is pretty good against this particular build. He actually does have a spell, Murderous Cut. But this is where our Abzan Advantage is actually pretty good, or our Valorous Stance is actually really good. Because the Murderous Cut is now nullified. And he's down to a 10. And now we can Shambling Vent. And he had to use a ton of resources for the cut. Still thinking that this is Sphinx's tutelage. Other than the Ugin kind of... Or I guess he's just using Tormenting Thought for even more cards in the graveyard. It's 2 cards in the graveyard and drawing 2 cards. Which with Jace is very reasonable. It was a Bloodstained Mire. Not quite sure. I'm not going to run Sorin into anything. Because I think we're just two turns away anyway. And Secure the Waste is just more powerful at end of turn. Or Complete Disregard. That'll actually complete disregard will make him save. Like best case scenario, he could go Fire Impulse, counter, and he doesn't have it. All right, so we'll go on to the sideboard here. I'm not quite sure if Chief of the Scale needs to come in. Ultimate Price will absolutely come in, even though that's all we saw was a Jace. I do like the Wingmate Roc in this particular matchup. I don't like the Valorous Stance. I think that they're very weak. Don't need to bring the Chiefs in either, and I don't think we need Bloodshin Ragers. So not a lot of messing around with the list. There could be... I think we saw all the colors, right? So it's just Grixis. We'll go ahead and submit this. It's an acceptable hand with the Chief and the Secure and a Brutal Hordechief, but the double Complete Disregard is kind of weak. Okay, this is tutelage. It's gotta be. With an Ugin just in there for extra control. Alright, so we have another Chief of the Edge. Which will be nice with the Secures if we can draw some more cards. It's kind of a slow hand, though. Do need to draw into a... And he's missing a blue source, which is... rough. But we have to hit lands. If there's any way that we're going to win this, we have to hit into some lands. Looks like he's going to get Fire Impulse off the Chief. And there's the Jace. So, Jace has to die. So, land drop. It did it to us again. Oh. The Scoured Barrens. I might end up cutting these. I think they're doing more harm than good. I put them in eventually because it was like I was always getting stuck on like double black or double white. But I think that the coming into play tapped has hurt us in a ton of these games. And maybe even cost us some games if we go back and look. So we'll put out another Chief of the Edge. Jace will flip now, though. So actually that might not have been the right play. No, Jace, he still has to put another card in the graveyard for Jace to flip. But he does the Tormenting Voice, but this, he needs a red source now for Jace. But it means I'm not going to be able to use Complete Disregard on Jace, which is going to be 2 dead cards, like Mulliganing. And if he has another Mountain in hand, then he kills the Chief. And he might just try to ride Jace to victory. Yeah. So Bloodstained Mire for a basic Mountain. And then flashback the Fire Impulse is what I imagine. All right, so still think that hitting a land drop would be the best play, and having to secure the waste. It looks like he can cruise here. Oh, it's a Tasigur, which cannot be Complete Disregards. Okay, so we do draw a land. It's not going to be Brutal Hordechief. I think it is just going to be secure the waste in a turn. And that way, hopefully, we can attack into Jace. So, not tutelage. It is just going to be Tasigur and Jace trying to get as much advantage out of the delve. Maybe even an angler in here. Most likely this is going to get countered by a Disdainful Stroke or whatnot. Dispel, Disdainful Stroke, negate. If not, we kill the Jace. Unless he has some Fire Impulses. We will Brutal. Over another secure. And attacking with the Warriors. All at Jace. So hopefully the Jace dies. So that's our card advantage to secure the waste. All right, Jace is gone. He might have another one in his hand. He can murderous cut off the Brutal Hordechief. He should have done that earlier if that was the case. Just going to Tassiger and make me give him back a Jace, which I will because I actually have play for it. And that's something he has to use his mana for. Ray Flames is really good. And there's Jace. We'll complete disregard Jace. But now Tasker is pretty powerful. I don't know why he didn't attack in. That was 4 damage. So complete disregard on the Jace. It's exile, gone for good. Mardu Woe-Reaper can at least give us a life back. Now he's got 3 cards in hand. He's getting close to Ugin. Wonder if Utter End might now be a good addition in the sideboard. That we're turning back into more of a mid-range metagame. Or meta. So that to me is an interesting... I mean, it's bad because we just get it back. So it does absolutely nothing. Gives him a turn. Which is actually a little bit annoying. I guess we could have done that at any time. I just don't want to run around a counterspell. I'll give him back Magmatic Insights at this point. But it looks like he's Tormenting Voice. Plays the Evolving Wilds. I don't know if that's the right... if he's trying to get into Ugin. But Transgress, it definitely seems like it needs to be in the deck, in the sideboard, with all of these crazy high drop cards. And what's good about Transgress is gone for good. Utter End as well, I think is... that ends up being a great draw. Well, Chief... and then attacking for 3. And wait till he uses the Tasker ability to ultimate price it. At this point, we will just give him Magmatic Insight. With as many lands got 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, he has the least amount of odds to actually have a land in hand. But he could. Looks like he does. And it's going to be a Murderous Cut or a Dig is what he's looking at. Or a Treasure Cruise. So Treasure Cruise. Could find him another Tasigur. Crux of Fate. That was a great card. We'll use to secure the waste in a turn. And then a Brutal Hordechief. We haven't seen any negates or dispels or disdainful strokes. But I've got to think there's some of these. No. Could be more Radiant Flames. At this point, I think it's just better to attack in. And then Wingmate Roc. Which puts lethal out next turn. Ugin is rough here. He has an Ugin. Another Crux of Fate is very rough if he's got a Crux of Fate. Radiant Flames is not so much because we have 2, 3, 4s that will survive. Could be 2 Murderous Cuts. Looks like another Treasure Cruise or Murderous Cut. Alright, so another cut. Could take care of the bird, and then like Radiant Flames could take care of the board. Because he does have pretty insane card advantage with this deck. And ultimate price, okay. Looks like another Treasure Cruise. Back up to 6 cards in hand. Ay, ay, ay. And the Radiant Flames does wipe the board. Tasigur number 2. Another Treasure Cruise. Go Brutal Hordechief, pass the turn. So he's got a bunch of Jaces left in the deck. Probably a bunch of Tasigurs. We've got rid of the Obnixilis, which is usually a one of. In most lists I've seen. And there's Jace. Number 2. And possibly Tasker number 2. So I need to find an answer for Tasker. If I can hit an answer for Tasker, which is the other ultimate prize. He got rid of the Fire Impulse, though. He's trying to force me to give back the Ob Nixilis. Hoping I can find another card. Oh, that is not good. So he does find 2 lands off the top with the Tassiger. And now Ob Nixilis will be able to kill the Brutal Hordechief. Another Secure the Waste would be lovely, though. Because I think he just casts Ob Nixilis, kills the Brutal Hordechief. Or that even works. Murderous Cut. And Ob Nixilis. And he'll draw a card with Ob Nixilis. And do 4 damage to me. So I need a secure off the top. We have a ton of lands that I know I'll be drawing into because this is a pretty late in the game. And speaking of lands, there it is. So Ob Nixilis will kill the Battle Brawler. Tassiger will attack in. Jace is actually going to loot. He's going to Magmatic Insight? I don't know. He's getting kind of close. Yeah, he needs to finish me off Tassiger. So Secure will win the game if I can draw a Secure. Or an ultimate price for the Tassiger. I don't think that a Swamp will do it, though. But we do have ultimate price and Secure, so we have a few outs. Rager will not do it because he just kills it with Ob Nixilis. Or the last Murderous Cut. So is that his win condition as Tassiger? We've seen the entire deck. So Dragonlord dies to... Yeah, Complete Disregard can go away. I think some of the cards left in his hand are Jace's. So Ultimate Price will be really good. Oh, I don't want to reveal hand. We'll go on to... Valorous Stance is wonderful here. Not quite sure about Chief of the Scale. It can get things above Radiant Flames if we have multiples. I'm not sure about the Bloodshed Rager. I think Chief is just a better card than even possibly the Mardu Woe-Reaper. And that can get rid of cards out of the graveyard. The Complete Disregards are unnecessary. I still like the Raider Spoils, Wingmate Rocs. Ultimate prices, so maybe Chief of the Scale. Valorous Stance, yeah, he takes care of all of his win cons. So it's just Chief of the Scale, like, more important. We'd have to get 2 of them out, though. If we have 2 Chief of the Scales out, but he's got a lot of, like, Murderous Cuts and things, it's not worth it. We'll take him out. We'll submit this. Can't keep this hand. No lands. This is good. This is really good. I like this hand. We both have to mulligan. He has to go to 5. And I do think we want a Shambling Vent on top. If it was any other land, I'd say no. But Shambling Vents seems really good against him. Other than he does have Murderous Cuts. See if he has the Fire Impulse for the Bloodsoaked Champion. And this is a great card for Fire Impulse. It's a renewable resource. Not even quite sure about the Shadowspear if I even want to use it. Dashing in Shadowspear actually seems better. I can keep grinding and grinding and grinding with it. Nah, we're going to put out the Shadowspear. Hope that doesn't come and bite me in the end. I'd love for him to go Jace. Then we'll ultimate price it and hit him for some damage. We need to avoid more land drops. We have all the lands we need. All the sources we need. We can cast Wingmate Roc. We can cast Brutal Hordechief. We can cast Sorin. Sorin also seems like a really good card against him. The only thing that really can take care of Sorin is the Dragon Lord and a Tasigur. But it survives all the other stuff in his deck. And he doesn't have a huge variety of threats. So black cannot Murderous Cut quite yet. And Battle Brawler, not that impressive. I might need to change the Battle Brawler to something else now that we don't have as many white permanents. Although we still have Secure the Waste. That can still be flashed in. This was an MVP when I used the Dragon Hunters for sure. So we'll Battle Brawler. This makes him do a Radiant Flames if he has one. And maybe I should have just... Yeah, I'm regretting the Shadowspear other than it has done 2 damage. But if this is a Radiant Flames, wipes the board. And it indeed is. So we have some ground to make up. Can't quite get back the Bloodsoaked Champion, but this combo will be good later on. Magmatic Insights again. And Treasure Cruise, Tasigur, Jace are the likely culprits. All right, Cruise puts him back up to a 7. This means we're going to get in for a damage. Oh, Fire Impulse. I do have to be a little bit worried about Fire Impulse for the Shambling Vent. Yeah, this is a much better play. See if he had it. And we'll just keep using that combo. Looks like it. He's used a ton of resources for his graveyard. A lot of it's been lands. I guess just Magmatic Insight, so nothing too valuable. We have the ultimate price. At this point, we just attack in with Bloodsoaked, not the Shadowspear. We activate the vent. Oh, we actually just attack in with Bloodsoaked. He's an ultimate price it. Can't dash in the Shadowspear now. And it's kind of pointless with the attacking with the vent, so I'll just let this happen. Wonder if he adjusted. The ultimate price was an adjust. We did see his entire deck, and that was not in the list. But secure might get taken care of. All right, not bad. And we have Achieve of the Edge, but we will play it. Because this is lethal. Unless he has a way to deal with it. I still don't think we quite dash in the Shadowspear. Yeah, because we just want the Bloodsoaked back. So against the control matchups, you can see how grindy warriors can be. I'm pretty sure the Chief dies here. Okay, Fire Impulses. Bloodsoak comes back. We have lethal on board. We have ways to keep getting back the Bloodsoak. Might have an answer for this guy. We will wait and see. He does have another Fiery Impulse. And the double ultimate price is, well, it's good. It takes care of 2 of his win cons. Goes down to a 3. He's got to be careful about his life total because of the Shambling Vent. This one looks like it's going to be a Tasigur. Which we will ultimate price. So let's see if he, in response, activates Tasigur. Does still have 2 mana open. I'll most likely give him a Treasure Cruise back. I hate giving a Treasure Cruise back. But the other 2, maybe his ultimate price I should have given back. I'd rather just throw out a Brutal Hordechief than a Shambling Vent. Because now he's got to take care of the Brutal Hordechief. Plus, try to get another threat out. 2 Tasigurs are in the bin. Silumgar would be bad here, actually. So maybe that wasn't the right play. And that actually looks like it's going to come out. Crux of Fate. I want him to cruise here, though. He chose the wrong... Oh, he just chose the wrong thing. Don't know if it would have mattered. Because what is he trying to... After Crux of Fate, so Brutal Hordechief's dead. And he would have cast another Tasigur. And... I still would have... ultimate price down. Tasigur, and then attacked him with Shambling Vent, and you'd be down to a 1. I mean, that guy should have been dead. But I don't think it would have mattered. And there is the match. And with this, been Kevin with GatheringMagic.com. Thanks for watching. Hi there, it's Kevin with GatheringMagic.com with your wrap-up video with our Playing on a Budget Warriors. The deck underperformed. I think that 2-2 is pretty bad. For the history of this deck. I wouldn't play it if it's going to go just 50-50. I think there's better decks to run at the moment. But I think that our sideboard can be improved a lot on. This is specifically built for Abzan. Abzan and Jeskai Black with the Chief of the Scales. The Chief of the Scales were very awkward this entire time. And we had a lot of these ramp type strategies or super control based strategies. And that's where cards like Duress and Transgress the Mind are really, really powerful. Because Transgress can get rid of Ulamog or Ugin or Crux of Fate or the Take an Extra Turn or Kiora. Their Nissa's Renewal. Anything like that, the Transgress the Mind can completely take out on turn number 2, and then you don't ever have to worry about it again. I like how proactive it is. It's a little bit weaker than a Thoughtseize, of course, because Thoughtseize can just take care of anything. But once Transgress hits it, it's gone for good, which is nice. Another card you could, with all the exile, we could go into Silk Wraps for our control instead of ultimate price. And then Silk Wraps allow us also to play the Wasteland Strangler, which I think is actually worthwhile to put in here if we're going to be running Complete Disregards, Transgresses. But then if you're doing that, then Utter End is another option. So I think that this deck has quite a bit of ability to customize it based upon your metagame. I still like the 4 Self-Inflicted Wounds, but if Green-White Megamorph and Abzan are not going to show up, then it's not nearly as good of a card. What I liked about Self-Inflicted Wound is at the time when Abzan and Jeskai were huge, it didn't miss any decks. You'd bring it in versus Jeskai because they would run either Seeker or the Monastery Mentor, or you'd have the Mantis Rider. Just plenty of targets for Self-Inflicted Wound to hit. And against Abzan, it hits everything in their deck. There is not a card, there's just not a black card, a black creature in their deck that it does not hit. Some run maybe Tasigur, but a lot of times it hits a very impactful card. Even if it has to just hit a Warden that they've pumped into mana, it does 2 damage, makes them sack that Warden. A Siege Rhino you can easily hit, and kind of negates the Siege Rhino's 4 mana to do only 1 life gain is not going to get him there. Battle Brawlers was a lot more disappointing in this match than in this series than it has been in the past. I think the problem is the Dragon Hunter. I think, though, that Shadowspear was wonderful every time we had it. I liked it. But Dragon Hunter makes it for that first turn Dragon Hunter, second turn Battle Brawler hand that is really, really powerful. So I don't know if right now is the time to go back to a faster Warriors, like a 21 lands, just all the 1-drops possible, so 4 more Dragon Hunters in the deck, and then take out Wingmate Rocs and the Sorins and Raider Spoils, and just go this really hyper-aggressive route. Or if it is this more mid-range route, that is good against Green-White Megamorph and Abzan, and actually a lot better versus the sweeper-based control decks. But I think all those were 2-1, so or 1-2 losses. So there wasn't a match where we just didn't win a game, and a lot of those games were actually pretty close. The Scoured Barrens cost us a game, I believe. So I think that if I were to make any change right now, maybe go down to a 1-of. And I think that the mana that we need the most of is still black. How many swamps? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're even right now. So I think that adding a black, another just basic swamp, or even going into 23 lands, there are a lot of times where we did get a little bit flooded out, but you want to see that with Secure the Wastes. And there's nothing I'd really want to move. In fact, these Valorous Stances are a card that I think could easily go over to the board, and we could go another Wingmate Roc and actually just put the Valorous Stance as all sideboard. The thing that I used to like about Valorous Stance is you could protect your creatures against like Fiery Impulse or whatnot. So yeah, I still think a 1-of Valorous Stance is still the right play, and I think that just putting that Swamp over the other Barrens is better. But Complete Disregard might end up actually wanting to be a sideboard, and 2 Valorous Stances, 2 completes, or maybe Ultimate Price. I like this a lot better. It gives the Wingmate Roc another card that can help you come back from games. Valorous Stance could actually just be cut down as a 2-of, and we could actually put back in the Dragon Hunters, and these could go to the sideboard, and the Stances can just be all in the sideboard. I think that might be a good line of play, and then that way the Wingmates can come in against the matchups they're actually good against. This ups our creature count back up. I think this is the list that I would run with 2 Complete Disregards and then 1 in the sideboard. You bring those really in against the Hangerback Walker. I like it above Silk Wrap. Silk Wrap ends up being a sorcery speed card that you don't usually want to cast on turn 2. You want to cast on turn 3, but Silk Wrap does give us that answer versus Jace that we don't have, and I still like the 4 Self-Inflicted Wounds. So that's what I'll do. We'll cut 2 Chiefs, and we'll put 2 Silk Wraps as well in the sideboard. And I think that gives us an overall better plan against the overall metagame. Silk Wrap is fine against the Jeskai decks for Jace. It's fine against the Atarka red deck. We still have, so Hangerback has a lot of hate now with Complete Disregards and Silk Wraps, and Ultimate Price though I still think is necessary versus it's very good versus Atarka, and that just gives you, Chief is just, I think Chief is a 2-of is fine. I do like to see Chiefs against the red-white was big at one point where it was more aggressive with Monastery Swiftspears and Seeker of the Ways, and they try to tempo people out with the Fiery Impulse and Wild Slash. But with red-white being almost completely replaced by either Atarka for that faster way of doing it, or the Jeskai or Jeskai Black with more options with control, I think that the Chiefs are a lot weaker. So Chief might end up being completely side out. There also, it wasn't bad versus green-white Megamorph. It also wasn't bad against mono-white aggro, because Chief of the Scale kind of negates other people's first strike and kind of gives your opponent or your own creatures this pseudo first strike by just adding their toughness. So a 3/2 it doesn't work as great with the Battle Brawler, but with like a Bloodchain Rager makes it into a 2/3. That means it survives the 2/2 that's blocking it. But again, that came in very, very rarely when the Chief of the Scale was as good as I hoped. Going up another Sorin might be good over another Wingmate. Every time I've played these Wingmates, it was the differing thing with Wingmate was when the format did switch into more of a mid-range and a lot of early game control. The Wingmate was huge with cards like Shambling Vent, and you'd be surprised at actually being able to cast it. 4 for the activation of Shambling Vent with the 5 activation of Wingmate Roc way late game, and now you have your 3/4s back in. But it really was great to get with Shambling Vent and the Bloodsoaked Champion getting back a Bloodsoaked, then attacking in, and then guaranteeing you have a Wingmate for those turns. I still can't see myself ever cutting the Self-Inflicted Wounds, because when they're good, they're phenomenal. But I think adding up to a higher creature base with the Dragon Hunters to give that scenario with Dragon Hunter to Battle Brawler is smart. But Silk Wrap and Battle Brawler also work, so we got to keep that in mind. If Silk Wrap is just might actually even be better main board than Complete Disregard. But anywho, I think I've rambled on long enough with options of this deck. This has been Kevin with GatheringMagic.com. Thanks for watching.